Hello, everyone. How are we today? Good afternoon. It is Sunday. It is Sunday Talks with Carols. And I'm ready to go, guys. I'm ready to go. Today I've been out of commission for about 2 weeks. And today I just want to kind of get started back. There's been a lot going on. There's been a lot going on for me, so that's why you haven't seen me. So some of you may know that I am in the transition to moving from one state to another. So I am in the process of relocating. And so with that comes a lot, especially when you're moving from one state to another state. Hey, Dolly. Especially when you are moving from one state to another state, and there's just a lot going on with this move. So I am here, and we are going to get started, and we're going to start talking about this topic, which means a lot to me. It absolutely means a lot to me. Um, Today's topic is something that I think we've all experienced. We've all had our share of chaos and things like that going on in the midst of our lives. And today we're going to talk about how we can find happiness in the midst of chaos. And if what I'm going through right now is not a good example of finding happiness in the midst of chaos, I don't know what is, because I am all over the place. We're moving, from a house that I've been in for so long, and trying to get things together and trying to get myself set up there, and, new climate change. There's a lot going on. And through all of this, I have absolutely had to try to find the happiness in the midst of all of this chaos. So, is it even possible when you are going through something that's really stressful or chaotic? Is it even possible to find happiness while you're going through it? Hey, Miss Me, I know, girl. I know, sis. I know you're driving. Thanks for showing up and being here. I know you're driving, and I know you have stuff going on today, and that's okay. That's okay. So, is it even possible to find happiness when you're going through chaos? And also, the question then becomes, what is happiness? And when we think about happiness, happiness is different for everyone. No one experiences happiness the same. People don't have the same things that make them happy. We all have different things that we consider our forms of happiness and how what makes us happy, and it's different for all of us. If you've come in, please hit the like button, because guys, that helps YouTube with the algorithm, and we just want to get up in there. Even though there may not be a lot of us here today, we still just want to get up in there. Hey, Tanya, good to have you here, girl. Haven't seen you in a minute. We have to talk. So let's get into this, okay? What First of all, defining happiness. Happiness for some people can mean just a state of joy. It can mean a state of peace. It could just mean success, because a lot of people gauge their happiness by the amount of success they have, how much money they make. So happiness is different for everyone. So, an example, if you can be going through a chaotic situation and still bring in your bread and bunny, for some people, that's enough. They have created happiness during a chaotic time. And for others that look for peace, that will define whether they're happy, oh, that's a different story. Because when you're going through chaos, obviously, it's not very peaceful for you. So how do you find it? What are some of the things that we can do to help us find this happiness? Because it's important that we do find happiness in whatever we're doing. It is so important. Um, so I want to talk about one of the things that we need to do when we are going through a chaotic period of our lives and we're finding happiness. One of the things that I know for sure is that we need to have a support system. We absolutely have to have people that are in our lives that are supportive, people that are non judgmental, and that you can trust. And it's so important because when situations are chaotic, there could be so many things going on. You could be feeling insecure, you could be feeling unsure of the decisions you're making. So it's important to have a support system that is just there for you. You're that friend that you can call and go, listen, this is what's happening, even if it's just to vent. Sometimes we don't need advice, but sometimes we just want to vent. And sometimes that support system is there to keep us grounded, to say, no, girl, hold on, girl, don't do it. Don't do it. So we need to have a support system. And something that I've learned is that when you are in the midst of going through certain things, when you need to have that support system way before that. And right, Dolly, you got to have that homie who can lift you up and help pull you through. Girl, you absolutely do. Because when it's rough and the going is rough, girl, you're going to be depending on certain people to pull you up. Those people that's not going to let you jump into that frying pan. That person that's going to pull you back and say, no, girl, don't do that. Don't do that. This is what you need to do. And it's so important. But as I was about to say, it's important that you know who your support system is before the chaos begins, right? We all have those friends that we know are going to be there no matter what. We all know that. And we have those friends that we can't really trust or that we know they're going to judge us. So that's not the people that we're going to give a call and say, girl, I got this going on. Because we all know that we all have people that be like, good for you. Absolutely. Hi, Terry. Thank you so much for joining us. So we're getting into this conversation now, and we're talking about support system, and knowing that we have a support system that's going to reel us on in. And also, when you're dealing with finding a support system, hopefully these are people that kind of can relate to you and people that know you and that really know the type of person you are and who you are before they jump right in and start supporting you. But make sure that you have that no matter what. Hey, Ray of Sunshine, thanks for joining in. So we need to have a support system, people that we absolutely can trust and that we can depend on and that's there for us. We absolutely have to have that. Because when you don't have that, it can be a very lonely road when you're going through the chaos. And this chaos can be anything. Like when we're talking about going through chaotic times, it could be a death in the family. It could be like with the pandemic. If you didn't have a few friends to call on or a support system throughout this whole last year, it had to be very rough. And for some of us that this pandemic struck us and it struck us hard, some of us lost our jobs. We didn't know whether we were coming or going. And in that type of situation, which is chaos, it's pure chaos. Hey, House of Entertainment, thanks for joining in. So even in the pandemic, it's because it was chaotic. And during that time, you definitely needed to have a support system, people that you can call on and say, listen, this is what I'm feeling right now. Mental checks. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. That support system is so, so important. So the other thing is also when you are going through a stressful time or chaotic times and you're looking for your peace, you're looking for your happiness, you've got to be really, you've got to change your surroundings sometimes. And sometimes that just means to get away from it, go outside, take a walk, go for a drive. And if you can, just get away. Just relieve yourself from the whole situation if it's possible. Because what I have found is that a lot of times when you're right in the midst of stuff and you're still in your same environment, you can't get away from it because you're sitting right in it. So we need to sometimes pull ourselves away and go out, go for a walk. I know for me, a walk is so important. It is like if I can just sometimes go out and clear my mind, that means everything to me. Don't let me get to go to the lake where there's some water. Oh, it just brings me right back to the peace and joy that I know. It's the one thing that will keep me centered and grounded. And so that's something that we need to do. Sometimes we need to find whatever it is that keeps us centered, that keeps us grounded. For some of us, that means just being around family. For some of us, that means being around grandchildren or whatever it is that brings you a sense of peace while you're in it. That is important. Hey, Diane, thanks for joining. So, those are just anything that's going to keep you grounded during your moment or your time when you're dealing with chaos or uncertainty, whatever it is. You need to find that. You need to get grounded, find whatever that may be. And so, in saying that, as a life coach, one of the things that I coach on is for people to try to find their purpose in life. And when we're trying to find our purpose in life, we learn to try to find things that balance us. We learn to try to find that peace and happiness. So I encourage you to try to find out what, if you don't know what makes you happy, truly happy, that you do that, that you find out what makes you happy so that whenever you're going through a really difficult time, that you know exactly what you're seeking. Because sometimes people don't really know what makes them happy. They think that what other people use to make them happy keeps them happy. Some people think that makes them happy. And when you really do the work on yourself, sometimes you'll realize that you can be very happy without the money. But it's about finding that peace, finding what resonates within your soul. And then when you're going through the worst of the worst times, that you have something to hold on to get you through the worst of the worst. Now, I have, of course, at my age, I've gone through a lot, right? And there have been moments that I have had some chaotic things going on in my life, chaos, chaos, chaos. And I didn't know how to find it. I just couldn't find any peace. I just let everything that was going on stop my flow, stop my hustle, stop everything, because I just couldn't function. I just couldn't find what I needed to find to pull me through those moments. And right. Dolly says, find what grounds you in your purpose. Absolutely. And prayer, absolutely, Terry. Prayer works. It works. If people don't understand that it really works. Like for me, it is one of the the saving graces for me. Like if I am really having a hard time, the one thing I do is I get down on my knees and I pray on it because I know that there's a higher power that has me. But everybody doesn't have that same belief. And when you don't have that belief, it's hard. It is really hard to figure it out. But I believe in praying and connecting to the creator is key. And I agree with you, Terry. I absolutely agree with you because that for me has pulled me through some rough times. And because when you have a belief in something stronger or bigger than you know you're going to pull through. You know that no matter what everybody else is saying or what they have against you, that you're going to be okay. And it doesn't matter what anyone says to you. It doesn't matter. You know what you know, that you're going to be okay. But some people don't have that. And for those that don't have that and don't know that they're going to be okay, we've got to dig down deep and we've got to find some other things that's going to pull us through. So like I said, change your surroundings, move on, go visit friends, go to the park for a walk. If that's all you can do, go up and down your block, just get some fresh air. You guys that have been around me for a while, you already know I believe in the power of fresh air. Going out and just breathing and getting some sunshine is enough to kind of shift your mood from one to another. And that's why it's so important to go out every day and get some fresh air, get a daily walk in, because it helps you. It just helps you It helps your mind, it helps your state of being just to get out in the fresh air. So, um, the other thing, when we are seeking happiness in the midst of chaos, is that we put that chaos into perspective. So sometimes, because we're so stuck in the moment, we tend to forget, or we blow the problem up so big that we can't see anything beyond the problem itself. And I think that this is the biggest issue when we are faced with chaos. You have to sometimes find a way to get out of your head. Just get out of your own head and start to put things into perspective. And once you start to do that, sometimes we realize that the problem may not be as big as we originally thought it was. It is so important to look for the positive in everything that happens to us. And I know in the midst of going through things, it's hard. It is hard to see anything positive. Well, Carol, what are you talking about? I just lost my father. I just lost my mother. The positive could be maybe that person is no longer suffering. The positive could be that it's finally time, that maybe they wanted to move on. But there's something positive in everything. Everything that happens, there is a way to look at a positive outcome from it. And also when you have that greater faith and you have that greater belief, then you understand that nothing happens without a purpose. Everything in this life that happens is meant to happen. And the more you look at that, the easier it makes situations for you to deal with situations. There's no mistakes in life. And I honestly believe that there are absolutely no mistakes in life. Everything that happens in this life is happening for a reason, whether we believe it or not. Now, the thing about that is looking at stuff and really trying to figure out, what is the lesson? What is it I'm supposed to get out of this? So Dolly says, one thing that has worked for me when things are chaotic is sitting in silence so that whatever it is God is trying to relay to me comes through. So I extract myself from the issue and listen. Girl, absolutely. Absolutely, getting out of your own way, getting out of your own head, because in the midst of chaos, we're not going to have the answers. We're not going to have the answers. Either your support system is going to help you out, but there's no greater system than believing in that higher power and knowing that whatever the reason is, it's going to come to you. It will absolutely come to you. I just, I believe that, and I have a strong belief that everything that happens in this life happens for a reason. I believe there are no mistakes. So when I take that stance on things, it makes things a little bit easier for me to deal with, because I can say, okay, so this is happening, Carol. You're right in the midst of this. What is the lesson that I'm going to get from this? Hello, Mama Glow Up. Thanks for joining us. So I have to ask myself, what's the lesson that I'm going to get from this? What is the lesson? And once I really sit back, and as Dolly says, whatever it is that's being relayed to me, once I take myself out of it and relieve myself of being the victim, because a lot of times when things are happening in our lives, they're not necessarily happening to you, it's happening in your life. But when it's happening, sometimes it's hard for us to see what we can really get out of it. Um, Diane is saying, if you don't get the lesson, it will oh my goodness, it will happen again and again until you receive the lesson that you were supposed to learn. And that is the honest to God truth. And anything that is going on, if you do not get that lesson and understand where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing, it's going to keep occurring until you deal with it, until you figure out what is the lesson in it. I mean, Have you been in a situation where you're in a relationships and you keep getting the same type of people that keep coming in your life over and over again? You keep meeting the same guy 10 times. And it's because you haven't figured out why and what is the lesson behind it. What is this lesson this guy bringing to you? What is he teaching you? What is it about that situation that's teaching you about yourself? And we have to look at every situation that way. And when we start to not be the victim and realize that everything is not happening to us, it's happening in our lives, we find a better way of dealing with things. So Dolly says it is human nature to react instead of responding accordingly. And I agree. I absolutely agree. It's we do react. We react to things, and that because that's our nature. We react to things. Um, but we have to sometimes learn not to react, right? Take that step back. Like I said, take that step back. Think about the situation. Think about why you're in this situation and what could I have done to prevent this situation from being in my life. And even if it doesn't stop what has happened already, it will help you the next time. And then there was something that if you guys are not reading Dolly blogs, you guys have got to get y'all have got to get on over. Dolly, if you can get a link in here, put the link into your blog. Um, Dolly had hit on something really important in her blog, and it was saying how we basically put ourselves in the situation, and it's like we have to get ourselves out of it. And a lot of times we're so busy looking at the other person so we're not looking at ourselves. And when you're in a situation that's chaotic, oh my God, it's hard to look at yourself because you're so busy looking at the other problem or whatever problem someone brought to you or whatever you think is happening in your life that shouldn't happen. Well, listen, if you have the attitude that I have, that everything is happening in your reason for a I think Dolly is saying that. If no, Terry is saying people come into your life for a reason, and it could be good or bad. Absolutely, Terry. And not only that, it's a season. Everybody that comes in your life is not meant to be in your life forever. People come into your life sometimes for specific time periods, and we need to sometimes learn what's the purpose that this person served in our life. Even if this person was the worst of the worst, what did I learn from that situation? Did I learn that I'm too giving of a person? Did I learn that maybe I'm so giving of a person because I'm operating out of guilt? What have I learned from this chaotic situation? What have I learned? And that's important, that we need to figure out what have we learned. Guys, Dolly put in the link for her blog. You guys need to go check her blog out. You're talking about her being so real, down to earth. I look at her, I read her blogs, and I can't wait for the next one. And I find that I'm relating. I'm like, girl, you ain't said nothing to me that I didn't already feel. Like, go check out her blog, guys. Go check out Dolly the Coach's blog. She has some awesome real life words because she don't cut nothing. She just whatever it is, whatever comes to her mind, she says it, and it shows in her blogs. Love it. So Diane says, if you don't get the lesson, oh, okay. So then we have to start to really take accountability, because this is something that we don't do. We don't take accountability for whatever drama or chaos that we're bringing into our lives. Take accountability. Understand that certain things are happening in your life basically because you've allowed them. Because this is the thing, nothing can happen in your life that you don't allow, right? And so once we realize that, now your job is to make sure that you don't allow it again. And that's what Dolly's blog was talking about today. It's like, It's on you. If you see that there's a problem or something that brings chaos in your life, and you keep bringing it in and you keep letting it come in, that's on you. You're never going to find happiness if you continue to bring the chaos and continue to allow it to come in your life. But the way that we do that is we start to look at ourselves. We start to understand that everything not happening in the world is not, everything that's happening is not happening to us. It's happening in our lives, but it's not necessarily your sometimes things are not necessarily your problem. Sometimes people bring their problems into your life, but you have to figure out how to not let everything that comes into your life disturb your peace, your happiness. And again, everybody's happiness is different. So for me, happiness is peace. If I can have peace in my life, oh, I'm happy. I don't need to have money. Well, I do need to have some money, but I don't need to have like millions of dollars, and I don't need to have all of those things, big houses and fancy cars to bring me happiness. My happiness for me is peace. And if I can get peace in my life, I'm happy. So then what I have to figure out is how not to let chaos that's surrounding me disturb my peace. And I do that by being centered, just centered, staying grounded and centered in what I know, staying centered, knowing that there is a higher being, staying centered, knowing that I have a support system that if I feel like I'm going to go crazy, I can call, or even my people check up. Are you okay, girl? What can I do for you? Like that's so important. And it also will help you save your sanity because you know that you have people that are there for you, that are supporting you. So I suggest anyone out here in this chat that does not feel that they have a support system, that you really, really start to surround yourself by people that can be that support system when the chaos strikes. Because you have to stay prepared. Prepare yourself before. Stay prepped. Don't be getting ready. Be ready. Okay. And that means to surround yourself by people that you know are good for you, that have your best interests at heart, and that vice versa. Terry says, I just put a vlog today talking about a person that's talking negative about me and doesn't even know me. But I definitely am praying for this person in every way. And listen, that's what all we can do. All we can do is pray for people sometimes and understand. That's why I said from the beginning, we have to know that everything that's happening is not always happening to us. It's not always about us. A lot of times it's about that other person. Now, am I going to let every situation that happens in life steal my joy? Absolutely not. You're not going to steal my joy. You're not going to take my contentment away. But in the midst of chaos, sometimes we forget, and we have to remind ourselves, or our support system has to remind us of who we are. You know, Dolly says, yes, look at thyself from a place of curiosity and not to judge. There are certain behaviors we are used to and don't see as an issue until we realize it's no longer conducive to being happy. And absolutely, that's absolutely it. We have to really question the things that are happening. Like, you don't, if a lot of times, if people don't call things out to you, you don't see them. And how often do we have the same things happen over and over to us? And we always think, oh, well, it's this person, it's that person. If there's a common denominator and you're the common denominator and it's happening over and over and over again, then I would say it's time for you to check in. Check in with yourself, do the work, and find out why that you keep getting hit with the same things over and over and over again. Because it can't always be everybody else. Sometimes we have to look, because sometimes it is us. Sometimes we're bringing the chaos into our lives, and that we have to definitely pay attention to how much of the chaos is coming into our lives because we're bringing it in. How much of it? Because if you have been in a situation and this situation has happened over and over and over again, hmm, Why are you allowing the chaos into your environment? Hmm. Check yourself. Check yourself, because a lot of times that's what we have to do. We can't always look on the other end of the stick and say it's somebody else's problem. Well, if it keeps coming to you and you keep allowing it to come to you, then it becomes your problem. But then what do we have to do? Sometimes we have to remove people out of our lives so that we can have the happiness that we so desire. We have to look at ourselves, and I'm a biggie on this, is that you have to I look at myself inward before I look to anyone else, right? Because I want to stop the chaos. And for me to stop the chaos, I got to look everywhere. I can't just look at everybody else. I got to look everywhere. And my first stop is me. My first stop is looking at me. Terry says, once you have a problem and you remove certain people from your life and that problem is still there, then you need to think, exactly, exactly. And this is the point with looking inward, because happiness comes from you. Happiness comes from within you. You're not going to find happiness in someone else. Nobody is going to make you happy. You have to look within yourself to find that happiness. And so it's so important that we do this, that we really look inside of ourselves and find out what makes you happy. And once you realize what makes you happy, then guess what? You now know what does not make you happy. And once you realize, okay, this is not, I know what makes me happy, and this ain't it. This ain't it, because this here is bringing chaos in my life. So, whatever I have to do to remove the chaos from my life, I got to do it. I have to do it. There's no questions asked. Um, what does it mean to have chaos in your life? Confusion, trouble, drama. Um, Chaos is it can be horrible. It can be debilitating if you don't know who you are. And this is why one of the things as a coach that I try to teach people is get to know who you are. Get to really, really know who you are and what your purpose in life is. And don't let nobody stop you. Don't let nobody stop you from finding your happiness, finding your purpose in life, because it's for you. It's for you. Terry says irritation. And definitely know what makes you happy. And for some of us, it's the simplest things in life that makes us happy. And whatever that is, if somebody see, this is the thing. Whatever it is that makes you happy may be very simple to you. It may be very small to you, right? But once someone comes in and disturbs it, then it becomes really big. It becomes really big because you have your happiness and your peace and your contentment and your joy, and that's for you. And if someone comes in your life or situations come in your life that disturb it, find a way to get back to what makes you happy. And again, a lot of times we have a difficult time with it because it means eliminating situations from our lives or eliminating people from our lives. And for some of us, it's hard to do that. But we have to do always, I talk about this a lot about self care and taking care of yourself first. Because if you don't take care of yourself and your peace and your happiness, if you don't take care of that first, there's not, what else is there? You have to come first, even if you have children in your life. And I used to do this as a mom with young children. I put my children first. You can't do that. You have to put yourself first, because the healthier you are, the stronger you are, the better mom you will be. So you have to put yourself first. You have to find out what makes you happy. And once you find out what makes you happy, then you go to any means necessary to get that happiness. Dolly says, when you know what makes you happy and no longer seek happiness from others, everything and everyone outside of your person no longer holds the power to kill your joy. And I agree, because your joy is most important. You having joy is the greatest gift that you can have. Like, I mean, can you think about a time, if you go back and you think, when was a time that I was extremely happy? If you just go back to a moment where you were extremely happy, and you think about that moment and what was happening in that moment that made you feel so happy, and now you know that feeling of happiness. So now you're going to try to mimic those same things that made you have that feeling. You want to feel that joy. And it's important that we do. That we know what the feeling is. Because to be honest, some people don't know what happiness is. Well, some people haven't been happy in so long till they wouldn't know. They no longer, they've given up on being happy. They would rather have the chaos going on in their life rather than that feeling of joy or happiness, because they don't remember what it felt like. But once you can remember to feel, to be totally peace, to feel successful, to feel really good about who you are and what place you have in life, there's no way you're not going to seek that out all the time. There's no way. But I encourage anyone that is dealing with a lot of chaos in their life to start doing the work on yourself, to start finding out what your purpose is. Because in finding out what your purpose is, you then start to create happiness. Because when you find out what it is you're here for, what is it that I am placed on this earth to do? What is that? What is my overall purpose in life? Once you find out what your purpose in life is, you have already started to attain joy and happiness. Because finding out what your purpose is, it gives you joy. It gives you a reason to keep pushing forward and doing what you need to do. Once you find that, are you going to allow chaos to keep coming in and disturbing that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You told your husband his purpose was to serve you in every way. How did that work for you? How did that work for you? So when you know what makes you happy, you no longer seek happiness. I'm reading what Dolly wrote. When you know what makes you happy and you no longer seek happiness from others. Okay, so we discussed this. No one else holds the power to kill your joy. And so that is important, because a lot of us seek happiness in relationships. We seek happiness in partnerships. We expect our children to make us happy. We expect our friends to make us happy. We expect happiness in so many areas from other people, when happiness is within you. It resides within you. And so it's important that we understand where our happiness resides. And once we understand that, the chaos is no longer an issue for us. It is no longer an issue for us. Tanya, you said you haven't been happy since 1990. I know you didn't say 1982. We got work to do. We have some work to do, honey. We have some work to do. But since you have already given an exact year of when you felt happiness, whatever was going on in that year, then we need to try to bring that back so that you can feel that level of happiness. Because everybody deserves some happiness. Everybody deserves it. Everybody. So let's really work on finding out what makes us happy. Once we find out what makes us happy, whenever the chaos hits us, it won't take over our lives. We'll be able to intercept it and get back to our happy place, because our happy place is where we want to be. Are we going to be happy 24 hours a day, every day? Probably not. But am I going to be happy? I'm up for about 14, 15 hours a day. Am I going to be happy 13 of those hours? Absolutely. Absolutely. And so we need to find out what makes us happy before the chaos begins. And once we do that, then when the chaos, yes, Dolly, she said 1982. But when we seek that happiness and we know what that happiness feels like, that chaos doesn't mean a thing. You can have so many things going on in your life, but if you know what brings you happiness, you always have something to go back to. You always have a place to go back to. You always have a place to be reminded, this is where I want to be, this is where I need to be, and this is where I'm going. So, chaos, you have no place in my life. So, I want everyone to try to do the work to find out, what is your purpose? What brings you happiness? Once you realize what's bringing you happiness, what your purpose in life is, chaos doesn't stand a chance. And not to say that things will not happen. Listen, the pandemic happened and what we had no control over it. But what we did have control over was how we chose to handle it. Whether we chose to lay down and just be depressed, or we chose to make the best out of the situation and the scenario that we had. For me, I decided that I was going to go out and get sunlight every day, even though it was just a step outside my door. Now, was I going to go out and go walk it? No. But I was going to go outside my door and let that sun shine on me every day because I knew how important it was. So we have a decision to make. Dolly the coach is saying, my question would be, what event took place in 1982 that caused the absence of happiness? So um, after 1982, something happened to take away that happiness. But we're gonna do the work. We're gonna do the work, and we're gonna figure that out. We definitely gonna figure that out. Terry says, I was unhappy with my weight, so I got up off my rusty dusty and started to do something about it. And that's what I'm talking about. Once you find that if you losing the weight and feeling good about your body, if that brings you happiness, then get to it. And then if there's someone in your life that brings chaos to that goal that you have, that's what the problem is. Because see, some people are on a journey to lose weight. But then they'll have people in their life that's just causing chaos, that's buying foods for them that they know they shouldn't eat, that's constantly talking about what they're doing and you ain't gonna do it and you ain't gonna make it. That's chaos. That's chaos in the midst of your happiness. So you know what's going to make you happy, so you don't allow anything to come in and disrupt that happiness. And again, if you need a support system to help you through it, then that's what we do. Um, but we definitely have to know what makes us happy. And once we do that, the chaos doesn't stand as big of a chance for us. And that's what was my biggest thing to discuss today, was to let people know that even though you are in the midst of chaos, that you can find your happiness, and that your happiness, once you know what brings you happiness, it will help you pull your way out of it. But we all deserve happiness. There is no question about it. There's no one in this life or in my life that I want to hear them say that they don't have happiness. We all deserve it, and we need to do the work to get that happiness, whatever it is. And the work is hard. The work is hard because in getting to your happy place, a lot of times it means releasing people from our lives that bring us the chaos or bring us the negativity. And so it's hard. It's hard. But hard is what we have to do to get where we need to be, then we have to do it. No matter how hard it is, we have to do it. We just have to get through it. And that's where the problem is for a lot of us. We just don't want to let go of some of the things that don't bring us joy or that bring chaos into our lives. But for our own health, for our own mental, we have to do whatever we need to do to find our happiness in the midst of chaos. We absolutely do. Um, People will complain about everything, but will do nothing about it. The only person that can help elevate you is you. And this is why we have to do the work. We absolutely have to do the work to elevate ourselves, because no one else is going to do it. Listen, No one else has a bigger stake in your life than you, right? You are the one that has something to lose when you're not happy. You're the one that's losing out. No one else is losing out but you. So we absolutely have to really find out what it is that makes us happy. And when I say happy, sometimes people think of happiness like you're just giddy. You are overwhelmed with joy. You're laughing and you all day. No, that's not necessarily happiness. Like I said, happiness for me is peace, right? Does that mean that I'm smiling all day, every day? No, it means that I'm content. And I'm so content with where I am that I don't have to smile to make someone else happy. That if I'm feeling good and I'm feeling joy, that's what I need. I don't need to do anything for anyone but myself. I am my greatest priority. And if I have people that are depending on me to care for them, I'm still my greatest priority because by me being my priority and taking care of myself, then I can take care of them. Prayer is half the battle. God gives us the ability to make the moves necessary for us to make the changes we wish to see. And the problem with that is that people don't think that changes are possible. A lot of people are so stuck in a place that they can't even see that that the changes are going to happen. They can't even see that far. Some people are so stuck in a rut, they can't see beyond where they're at. They can't see it. So we need to find a purpose so that you will have something to look forward to. Um, and once we have something to look forward to, it will help push us to where we need to go. But it is important that we absolutely start to figure out what is going to bring us the happiness. So, with that being said, one of the things that I want, God gives us tools to fix certain areas in our lives. But if you take those tools and just throw them in the toolbox and don't use them, right, we have to use the tools. But sometimes people don't even realize that there are tools present. So how do we get people to understand, number one, that a lot of the chaos in their lives are brought because they are allowing it, number one. And number two, how do you get people to believe, to have just a little tiny faith, a little bit of faith to know that things can improve, that things will improve. And when you start to believe that and you tell people, when you tell yourself that enough, you will start to make some changes or see it. So Dolly says, use this pandemic for an example, Carol. People were losing their shit because the realization set in that they had to sit with themselves. Yes, yes. They had to sit with themselves, their issues, and not to run to their outsourced fixes. And the hardest thing is looking yourself in the mirror and really looking at yourself in the mirror. The hardest thing is there was an experiment that I did upon becoming a life coach. And Dolly, you may remember this. Where we had to look in the mirror and tell ourselves, I love you, 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 I love, and until you really, really meant it. I think that thing took me about a week. But really, and that's just an example that if we have to really look ourselves in the mirror, if we have to really take a good, hard, unbiased look at ourselves, how do we feel? How do we feel about us? How do we really feel about ourselves? And we have to work on all of these things in order to get to that happy place. And if we don't, if we don't do the work, if we don't, I'm afraid that some of us will never find the happiness that we deserve. Because as I said, we all deserve happiness. And guess what? when you find it, you're going to wonder, how did I ever live without it? How did I ever live without this real feeling of joy, of contentment? How did I live without it? So I am going to ask, ask of my subscribers, of my friends, of my sisters, that we start to put in the work. Because Sunday's Talks is all about us as a community empowering one another, inspiring each other, and letting each other know that it is okay to do the work, that it is okay. Everything that I do on Sunday's Talks with Carol is all about uplifting and letting you know that you are not alone. We have all been somewhere that the other person has been. There is nowhere that any of us are alone in. We are a community, and the goal here is to try to solve, resolve, admit, challenge, and go through some of the issues that we are all encountering. And I hope that on Sundays, when we come up with these topics, that everybody can walk away with something, no matter how small, that you walk away with something, that something has been said in the chat or through me that will help you to help yourself. And this week, my goal is to help you start to do the work to find happiness even in the midst of chaos. Even if right now you are in the most chaotic situation and nobody knows about it, you know about it. So look yourself in the eye, get that mirror out, and ask yourself, what am I doing to help create the chaos in my life? And after you've answered that question, your next question is, what do I need to do to start to eliminate the chaos from my life? And you know the answer. You absolutely know the answer, but you've got to be willing to do it. You've got to be willing to do it. So you guys know I do not like to keep you over an hour. You already know that my goal is to get you out of here in an hour, because I appreciate each and every one of you coming to spend an hour with me on a Sunday, because you didn't have to. You don't have to. You could be doing something else. You could be napping, okay? But you choose to come here and talk to me and listen to me, and I so appreciate each and every one of you. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. Please remember, every Sunday I will be here on Sundays Talks with Carols. In the next couple of weeks, like I said, I have a huge move coming up. So it is my priority to get to you guys on Sundays. I may miss one or two in the next month because there is so much going on, but just stick with me, stick with me, stick with me. I appreciate you all so much. Please remember to like, comment, share my videos. Please share my videos. I don't mind being shared around, guys. Go ahead, share me all around, and hit the like button. And for those of you that may not know, we have a channel that I'm collaborating with on Wednesdays at 11 a.m., Women Uncensored. Go check out that channel. Go check us out Wednesdays, 11 o'clock. We got some real good conversations going on. I'm sure that if you guys go over and check out one of the replays, you will love it. You will absolutely love our channel. You will love what we do on Wednesdays. Go check us out. Check out the replay. And I think that that will be all. Just remember, guys, if you can dream about it, you damn sure can be about it. Thank you all for your support, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a good day, guys.